say that this was a primary prevention, I felt that it was a good opportunity to share with everybody some of the projects and initiatives that we have as a local or Whānau Trust taken on in our community to progress primary prevention around Māori whānau. I want to start by saying that Wahine Trust is a kaupapa Māori organisation, meaning that it is run by Māori for Māori. The development of all programs is done in collaboration with our community. We work from a needs base, which is what our community suggests that is the right pathway or direction that we should be taking. So, as you can possibly perceive, it takes a lot of time and energy to go through all those hui to get to be able to provide anything in our communities, but once they are established, they're established forever. So that's the good part about it. People have buy-in right from the word go. So I thought what might be good to share with everybody today is that the opportunity that we had from MOJ to actually develop a Māori strategy to work within our community. So I've brought our strategy along today, and I sort of just want to quickly go over a few things in that strategy. So the name of our strategy is Te Ha o Hine Ahuone, and our vision is Me aro koe ki te ha o Hine Ahuone, which is to pay heed to the dignity of woman. Wahine has a vision that promotes and encourages the health and well-being of Māori wahine, tamariki, rangatahi and whānau. We are committed to providing coordinated and professional Māori services which reduces the incidence of sexual violence and whānau violence within whānaus in an effort to stop violence from permeating into the generations to come. The purpose of Te Ha o Hine Ahuone strategy has our purpose is to look at ways forward from a Māori perspective, and so what we have tried to do is to capture some of the priorities for us as Māori communities. Te Ha o Hine Ahuone strategy has been written to outline current and focused activities, views and beliefs of the Trust towards primary prevention of sexual violence and whānau violence. It is anticipated that the strategy will feed into the Ngā Kaitiaki Mauri TOAH-NNEST National Primary Prevention Strategy and priorities. So that's pretty much why it's been developed. Ngā Kaitiaki Mauri is known as the Tikanga Māori Caucus of Te Ōhakiahine National Network Stopping Sexual Violence, and has developed a parallel national primary prevention strategy with Tauiwi Caucus. As such, Ngā Kaitiaki Mauri recognises the treaty-based relationship it has with Tauiwi Caucus. This strategy is designed to add value to the relationship and leaves room for negotiation where strategies may overlap. However, it must be recognised that this strategy has been developed from a kaupapa Māori perspective to address the gaps and the needs that exist for the Māori tangata whenua population, whānau hapu and iwi. Specifically, the Ngā Kaitiaki Mauri strategy has been devised under some of the guiding principles of Te Ōhakiahine and covers a 5-year timeline with priority areas being highlighted as a focus for the 2-year funding, for the 2 funding years identified within the government responses. So these principles are threaded throughout this strategy as the area of interest overlap. However, each strand is significant in its own right and may be approached individually or as broadly as required. It is envisaged that each strand will develop a set of good or best practice principles to support both national and regional initiatives. The 5 kaupapas that NK includes, and NK Ngā Kaitiaki Mauri includes in their strategy are pūkengatanga, which is information and resources, rangatiratanga, training and development, manaakitanga, local initiatives, which is what I'll be talking about in a few minutes, whanaungatanga, which is whanau hapua niwi, and mātauranga Māori. Now that's, it's not exclusive, that's an inclusive grouping of our kaupapas. For Māori, raising conversations about sexual violence may involve drawing on concepts of manaakitanga, honouring others and ourselves, kaitiakitanga, upholding our responsibilities, and kotahitanga, connecting people. As part of their input, or our input as NKM, into Te Toi Ora Mata Tauhiringa, which is the report of the Task Force for Action on Ending Sexual Violence. NKM presented 13 key statements to support the development of tangata whenua approaches to prevention of sexual violence. These statements focused on providing a foundation for approaches reflected within our 9 guiding kaupapa of Te Whānau, and drew on the interconnected relationships between them, toi ora and whānau ora. In particular, the following statement provides contextual support between the work of NKM and the proposed strategy of Tū Wahine through Te Ha o Hine Ahuone. The heart of any sexual violence prevention strategy for tangata whenua must therefore focus on the well-being of whānau ora, as a principal source of strength, support, security and identity. Whānau play a central role in the well-being of tangata whenua as individuals and as members of their whānau hapu and iwi. Similarly, Te Ha o Hine Ahuone has several levels of coordination and delivery. However, the fundamental focus of the strategy finds its basis in the notion of whānau and whānau ora. Tū Wahine's views and approaches. Tū Wahine's approaches. Well, we'll just move right along. I have to say that unfortunately I did not time myself, but maybe if I just tell you that we have 5 key areas. So Maori order, which is the first key area, which is identifying strategic approaches which support and nurture Maori order. And Maori order is the life principle. As the word implies, it is that bonding force which is further defined beyond pure energy to make life possible. So that was our first key area. Second key area was utilising the strength of Tū Wahine and whānau accessing the services to develop key messages and programs. Tū Wahine's been in the community for a very, very long time, so as you could well imagine, there are a lot of skills within that organisation and a lot of experience and knowledge. Many of the women within Tū Wahine, which is a rōpū of 7, the skills they have acquired and increased over those many years, so you can imagine the wealth of knowledge and the wealth of experience that is in that organisation. So part of what has been an ongoing discussion for Tū Wahine is how do you take that skill base that we have acquired over those many years and translate it out into the wider community? Because if we are to stop sexual violence, then that's what's going to need to happen. So part of our strategy is and has been over the last 3 years to develop a framework for working with Māori whānau, which we have done, and to actually now do the research behind that to see how well that is working, so that we can then look at a strategy to put that out in our community. So part of our primary prevention strategy is, in fact, to train people to work in the way that we are working, and hopefully add to that from others who have had similar experiences or have experiences that can add to that wealth of knowledge. Thank you. Okay, so that was number 2. If I could just tell you, number 3 was Tuatahi Te Iwi Māori, which is about maintaining and implementing whanaungatanga, which is certainly an area that we have high priority for. And just quickly, if I could, have got a moment just to... So those were our key milestones, and my apologies that it's been so short. And if anybody else would like to know about some of the successes or some of the things that we have done, I've spoken to some about the radio station and looking at how maybe we can share that and go national, which is part of our focus as MKM to actually promote those things. So.
Okay, is that better? Cool. Yeah, He Kōrero Pounamu is what we called our project, but because we're based in the South Island, and Pounamu, there's lots of stories, rich stories about Pounamu being a reflection of yourself. And the He Kōrero Pounamu actually came from a model that, an approach really, we're putting together as a sort of a education forum for a lot of our whānaus that come through. And also just to pass on the stories of the region around Pounamu, what it means. And this is a picture of my mum. He Kōrero Pounamu actually came from my some of the younger generation that we were talking about a name of a program, and they said that they'd like to name it He Kōrero Pounamu. So we're sharing a development around that and how we're going to develop some awesome kōrero around some of the importance of some of our stories and what they mean. And I've got Mum up there because we had we're very much part of our service, our whānaus are, and our mum is, she's also part of our advisory group. And she always, for years and years, she was always saying, really need to have a parenting program. And we go, oh, we're working with women, we're working with adults, but actually it really does start with our babies. And so one of the kōrero she's given us is whakatongia te kākano, ko waiahau, miri i te aroha, whakatupua, te ngā kau o te mokopuna i roto i ngā tikanga taku iho o tātou tupuna. Plant a seed, nurture with love. Our mokopuna will grow and the gifts handed down by our tupuna. So we actually have her, so part of our He Kōrero Pounamu was actually to reach the parents. So we have fathers programs and mums groups, and a lot of those concepts is what we talk about, some of our important concepts of nurturing. So, you know, to me, it is really about prevention, and we do have prevention sessions in there, but we also, the prevention is right from the kōrero around our important traditions of nurturing and caring within the whānau, and that's the prevention. We've also got from one of our young women, for our women that come in, because we have a high percentage of women coming through the service, but we're actually doing a kaitahu prevention kōrero as well. But a lot of our mums, and it's one of the other things we've got here, some of our whakatauki around all Māori descend from that union. Papatūānuku sustains the people, and the people have an obligation to sustain and care for her. And when our mums and our daughters and that, they come through, that has, you know, our Māori women are very high statistically in abuse in this country, sexual abuse. We're very high, but we're not just, it's not just our Māori men, it's every culture. So internalised racism is quite, you know, for us, that's what we're seeing. And we've got when they come into our programs or whenever we go, wahine ātāhua, wahine humare, he wahine he rangatira, he wahine he taonga, he wahine he taonga, kuhu mai, no mai, haere mai, wahine tautoko, wahine mā, maranga aki ki rongara, tihei mauri ora. I think it just really acknowledges the importance we have as women, and they are as precious as a taonga. So Pounamu is a reflection of who we are. We are precious, precious taonga. And that's what we promote right through all our programs, how important she is. And to our fathers, our dads are just as important in Tāne and Wahine. We are part of each other. We are a reflection of each other in Te Ao Māori. We aren't separate, you know, so those are the things that we try and pass on to our dads, and how do they support their wahine, how do they support their children. Yes, I'll just move on. But one of the things we did do is we got access to, we had a huia tau with kaitahu. There was 30,000 from over the southern regions. We went along and promoted, you know, and what we asked for was what would they like to put forward, and for their marae, for their hapu, for their iwi. And they all came, we had people coming from all the different maraes, and they all had their own whakatauki and kōrero, but the first person that came up to our table, she was 90, and the youngest was 10 years old, and they all thought about, what can we say around prevention? What can we say? And so I thought that was so cool. So, and we have so many of our whānaus and who really want to make a difference, who really don't, you know. So what we thought we'd do is design some posters for them, for their maraes. And yeah, I've got some posters here. So during the couple of days they had the hui, we were able to talk to a lot of our people from all over the South Islands, really. And they put a lot of thought of it. Some whole families came up, whole whānaus, like talking about 15 to 20, and said, we really thought about Tāne overnight, and this is what we want. So these young people from Otako, you know, and we're using some of our traditional kōrero, yeah. And lots of people, we've only got 2 because we're actually going to launch it with the iwi of all the posters. We've got about 40, but we've got to give them back to the maraes. And also, because they're from them, and the best solutions really are from the people. And that's really what we did for that day. We have like big events, so why not get in there and get information from what they say, what will work for them. And I really like the fact that a lot of young people, rangatahi, we had a lot of male, female, men, women, and children. Like they knew what it was all about. So yeah, so that's really all I wanted to say, really. Kia ora koutou.
We are walking an old pathway in new shoes. Part of solutions for our people is not necessarily to look forward, but to look back. For those people who went to New York in the last couple of years, you'll notice that Broadway, the road Broadway, cuts across all the streets in New York on Manhattan Island. The reason for that, it's the only one that cuts across at an angle, is because Broadway, New York, is an old pathway for the indigenous people from that region. That's why Broadway cuts across at an angle in relation to the rest of the pathways. What we say is, the answers are, for Māori, is looking back to go forward. In 2005 to 2007, Ngā Kaitiaki Mauri was formed. The name Kaitiaki Mauri does not come from Ngā Kaitiaki Mauri, the members of Ngā Kaitiaki Mauri. Like all things Māori, they've given to us. The whakapapa of Ngā Kaitiaki Mauri comes from 2 lovely mana Wahine and their hapu and iwi, Vepi Kupenga, Ngāti Parau and Tetawhai Harawira, Ngā Pui. Now those names were given to us because Ngā Kaitiaki Mauri means, and I'm not going to give you a translation, my father will say give them an explanation, because sometimes the translation doesn't cut it. But Ngā Kaitiaki Mauri means we're guardians of the Maori, the essence of our people. This is the first speech Joy and I have done publicly, firstly on Korowai Tumanako, which is another name that was given to us. Korowai Tumanako means an embracing garment of hope. That's an explanation, not a translation. What it means is that if we are going to have solutions to these issues around prevention, then the answer for us is in the hope and the knowledge of our ancestors. So in 2012, last year, Joy and I left a very comfortable jobs and very comfortable salaries after a combined 20 years of working in offender treatment. And we took a step of hope and stepped into who we were called to be. So part of our journey in finding our way to where we are today is to step into, even though we may be new shoes, we are walking an old pathway. So we want to talk a little bit about that pathway that we have been on in recent years.
I'll just pick up a little bit from what Russell was saying. I haven't been to New York, so I don't know about New York.
I've got some photos you can see.
I can only one day, but where I have been is to Palmerston North, and there's Broadway. Right down the centre of the city there. It used to be the main, shopping area. Now, that's the area that my tupuna and the tupuna of Rangatani tribe. So for me, it just took me straight back to where my people come from and to the knowledges that they've left for me to step into, which is what Russell was talking about. So it doesn't matter in some respects when I want to go to New York, whether it's Broadway in New York or Broadway in Palmerston North. So there we are, there's your first comparison with New York. Russell was talking about Korowai, Tumanako, and it is really difficult for kaupapa Māori services to become established, and we're really well aware of that. And in some respects, it's very difficult to leave the safety of Tauiwi services that have a lot of resourcing around them. And for us, if in a sense, the doors weren't nailed shut for us, it would be very tempting at times. You're wondering, have you got enough money to put petrol in the car to go north this week or not? To want to go perhaps and see if we could unnail one of those doors. If it wasn't nailed shut, perhaps that would be tempting. But I've got to say that the journey that we're taking is a journey that our tupuna have taken for us. So it's like, okay, let's stand in their strength and their knowledges and the experiences that are, like Stella and Tanya are kaumātua in this work. So we've got a pathway that we can step into. But we actually want to talk about some of the work that we're actually doing. Do you want to start with the schools?
Yeah, and some of the work, and we can gratefully thank Great Prevention Education for the work that we are doing in schools. The project that we're on it's rangatahi, it's Te Aki Rangatahi, which is around talking to schools. Now, we've done an inversion of what historically, usually you go in and you do education to the kids. Our primary work is not to the children, that's the last piece of work. Because for Māori, you work with the whole community first. You get the community right, the kids will start to be safe. So part of our work, the biggest task of our work working with the schools in Tāmaki and Makaurau was that what we found was that the first initial conversations that we were having with principals in Tāmaki was that we were given some advice. Don't send them an email and don't leave a voicemail if you're going to be talking about sexual violence. Don't do that. You need to have a voice on the end of the line, or you need to be talking to them face to face. Thirdly, you need to be an expert about what you're talking about. And so one of the struggles for our project was that with the Ministry of Education, the principals determine what gets taught in their school. So if the principal isn't on board with you, you're out. And that's been an experience for us. I said, yes, thank you very much, but we don't need it.
So what's important, is this even working? Or am I just holding it? So the important thing in that for us is that the process of engagement is really important. Now, that's something that we know as Māori, you know, and so it's a sort of a natural thing for us to want to explore and what is the correct process in this context that will build the relationship in the first place to begin to establishing safety between us. I was going to go somewhere else.
But part of that creating the safety is ensuring that the information that travels from the principals to the teachers. Now we have a kōrero in Māori is you don't go through the side door. If you want to go in somewhere, you go through the front door. And the front door for us is you go to the principals. They are the rangatira of that school. If we can't convince them, then it diminishes the mahi that we have to do, because once we have the principals on board, the doors are wide open.
And yet, what we've discovered too is, you know, because and a lot of your focus when you go to places like schools with high Māori populations is that your focus is on that Māori population or that PI population. What we've discovered by going into the schools is that there is a response from the head of Māori departments that our children are being framed up, not by us, but by the hierarchy in the school, that our young people are more moral than other young people. And so naturally there's that sense of reticence of wanting to check us out. So not only is it really critical that we go to the principals, but it's critical that we go to the rangatira that sit within that school that are Māori and have that conversation. So
that's one of the projects that we're working on alongside rape prevention education at the moment. We'll continue with that work. It hasn't been an easy journey, but what we found was that the information needs to be done Māori, face to face. And if it's not transferred that way, what happens is that as it goes through, like it gets passed on, it starts becoming. We met with the head of department, one of the Māori departments, and they were really angry with us about what we said, what they said we said. They said, oh, you're coming here to teach our Maoris how to be good Maoris. I kid you not. So those are some of the things that we are trying to eliminate. So they're all from things too. Just want to move on to another piece of work that we're doing as we're working in the...
Can I just finish that please? Just the other piece that's really critical, because we talk about whanaunga, you know, having a relationship with. Now for us, we extend that to having a relationship and being really familiar with supporting documents that support safety. So in terms of the schools, for us, that's getting alongside the principals and having a look with them at their policies around safety within their communities and their procedures. Some have policies, but when it comes to enacting them, then it falls down. So that's part of our work too. So in terms of primary prevention, you know, it sticks it sort of away from direct contact, if you like, but it's really important to support the other work that we're coming in to do.
And the flow-on effect from what we learned is that we need to be getting in front of the ministers, so once the policy's in there, the principals don't say no. And so really that needs to be, take the responsibility away from the principals. That's why we haven't been able to get into some of the schools. We were up in a little marae in the middle of the bush, down in the middle of nowhere in the far north, centre of one of the many centres of paradise in Ngāpuhi. And we were up with some elders who were giving us their views around how we're going to work with their whānau in preventing harmful sexual behaviour and sexual offending within their community. Unfortunately, they came to our attention because Joe and I worked with the judges in the courts in Korowai and Kite, and we got centred in this community to give them some education. Now, we didn't talk to the children that were harming, we were talking to the community around them, because what we found was that the elders of that community were unknowingly leaving their children vulnerable in those communities. When I say unknowingly, genuinely they didn't just let their kids run here and there and do what they wanted, but some of the harm was created because what they acknowledged with us is that they need to return to their tikanga. One of their tikanga was taking the alcohol off the marae. Another tikanga was that there are particular ways that we need to be arranging the way we do things on marae to reduce these things from occurring. We're not going to get too much into that, we'll just do the 2 minutes. So.
One of the things that I wanted to say around that was that sometimes it's not, you don't go in there thinking, oh, I've got to find a primary prevention opportunity. We've gone, our access into the marae has been through someone who has perpetrated abuse. So we've gone and that's opened the door to access the kaupapa, who are the influential ones of affecting change within their community. So, and like Russell said, the education is then done directly to them as they reconsider, you know, and it's not like going in a judgmental way. Like these kaupapa, there's nothing more they want than safety, you know, for whānau. So it's about giving, it's a time of reflection for them to step back and have a look at, you know, what the tikanga is and what's got in the way of that being enacted within that context.
So primary, tertiary, secondary prevention is of no meaning to Māori. Going to go back to the corridor of one of our kaumata. We were walking an old pathway in new shoes. If we learn about what our ancestors have taught us, if I learn what it is to be Ngāpuhi and Joy learns what it is to be Ngāti Raukawa, then the abuse can't remain because of the tikanga of what that causes for us. So when we call ourselves back, whether your roots are ancestral to Scotland, whether they're ancestral to England, if you call yourself back to those root narratives and those root beliefs, that's where we will find our solutions. Nō reira whānau, e aha, ki mai,
I just wanted to round off some of that kōrero. So, two Wahine and Tono Oranga both received some of the contestable funding around that MOJ put out for primary prevention. And one of the things that was established through that criteria was that organisations that applied for the Māori trend had to identify as kaupapa Māori deliverers, and they determined what that kaupapa Māori was. And Korowai Tumanako was self-funded, and they're really brave. I want to thank it to Joy and Russell for taking that step to have faith in what they know, that the resource will come. And so they've come out of an identified need, and so it's really good that the need has always been there. It's just having the right people with the opportunity. So, and each group spoke about their current frameworks, which are all intertwined in tikanga, and they're utilising tikanga to provide that safely. And we see it happen all the time when Māori are doing presentations, when we have karakia, as we did today, when we introduce ourselves. Part of that kaupapa is around creating those connections. We do that when we're working with our people at home, with survivors, and the importance of connections and connecting to each other, whakatauki, how they connect ourselves as people back to our hapu and how they lived and by what means they lived, and how that is all prevention. And like Russell says, that if we're living within the context of our whakatauki, of our kōrero, and the kaupapa of our people, then the living it is the prevention of it, and creates that safety for us all to actually broaden our minds and to look at the future pathways that we are looking at. That's all I've got notes on actually. Oh, I just did actually, sorry, I did want to mention even our Wiata that we sing. So today we have a new Wiata that are coming all the time, but many people, and it's so great that we have, yesterday we have lots of people being able to join, and not just Māori people, but there are lots of people in the room who knew the kupu and the words of Māori Wiata. And today, at the end, we had support from from everybody, so thank you all for taking the opportunity to learn this. So, Mahi Rapuite, so who will, that Wiata that we, the several minds in the sun, so who will total on the tupu of the kaupapa, and you will, I'll do it and you'll do it. And so our Māori is another one, they're all relevant in terms of what they give to a kaupapa. And so it's important to understand that everything is connected to it when we're working in the framework that comes from
So we just might open the floor for questions. We've got about 10 minutes. There's so much that we can talk about, but controversial things we can talk about? Or I guess one of
I talked briefly with Stella yesterday, and I wonder, Stella, if you could tell us a little bit more about that restorative justice we've been doing with Whenua to do. It sounds really exciting.
Yes, I was whispering over here as Russell was speaking. I was whispering to tell him, all right, I can finish my presentation. I'm going to get the opportunity. I guess, yes, recently there's been an opportunity for those working in sexual violence to put an RFP into the Ministry of Justice to work with victims and perpetrators of sexual violence in restorative justice. And so one of, for us, because we see the work that we are doing as being about restoration of mana, it attracted us to actually look at how we might fit into that. So what TOAH-NNEST and other organisations and communities are doing, in particular TOAH-NNEST, has joined up with our local marae to actually establish a restorative justice process within the context of the marae. Now, of course, when the words restorative justice don't actually express the way in which we, in fact, work or understand the philosophy of restoration from a Māori perspective. So it's really important to understand that. So it's not just about having a marae and having people go there and carry out a mainstream process. Within the process that we're looking at, it's including our kaumātua and queer, it's including whānau to ensure the safety not only of our wahine, but of our tāne who of those, let me just re-put that into a little bit of a different framework after in respect to what we have seen yesterday. But it's not only about the victim, but it's also about those who perpetrate. And it's not only about our wahine, it's about our tāne, it's about our whānau, it's about our whānau. So in wanting to, in making the RFP, what happened was that it drew Māori as a community together to establish an approach that was going to be suitable for our whānau. So we are hopeful. The RFPs have not come back out, but the beauty about it was that our marae already houses restorative justice programs, and so it's like adding on a sexual abuse perspective to that. And because TOAH-NNEST has worked in that community, and because we have those relationships with our marae, we've come together to actually provide a service to our whānau who will come through that stream of work. So, and one of the restraints to the restorative justice contract is that because some of it's got to be done before pre-sentencing, so some of the timelines over here this work are very difficult. Not saying they're impossible. So when we, like for the work we're doing in restorative justice in the far north,
is we only expect that the pre-sentencing work we do with restorative justice on the right is only the beginning of the journey of restorative justice. It may not include a person who, it might not include the survivor of that abuse. Most likely it won't, because there's only about a 2-3 month windows, and judges don't like pushing the timelines out. And so for Māori, we are starting and creating those conversations on the marae, like Stella was said, where the elders are present, they get education, they get all of that knowledge that they require, not only to create safety around around a restorative piece of work, but the flow-on effect with that, from that is they're getting information on how they're going to start aligning their tikanga around keeping their people safe within their community.
Can I say it's actually been a long walk back to whānau, just as it's been a long walk for the sector itself to get the resource to be able to provide the services. One of the things that we've been able to do through our walk is and continuously move back towards whānau, which sometimes I think initially back in the days it would have been, oh no, you can't do that, you can't have people trade on whānau, because that was the place where we were at. But always there have been people within the sector, Māori within the sector, that say we need to be working with whānau. And it's about building the framework so that the survivors are safe within that, and the way in which we do that is still looking back. So it's been a long walk back to whānau as we go forward with the wellness. And within Te Ao Māori, if the individual is unwell, then the hapa is unwell, and the whānau as well. That is irrelevant whether the individual is the victim or the perpetrator. It's the unwellness that you're focusing on. And in this instance, it's the unwellness around sexual violence. But the whakaaro is the same for any hara
and we've had
needs to take place.
And we also know that most of sexual violence that's experienced by Māori whānau is intergenerational. And we have the most amazing framework for dealing with that. It's called kaupapa. And so when we're allowed to utilise those frameworks, or when we're empowered to utilise them as resource, then things change. And I can't express strongly enough about the need to have Māori working within a worldview that they understand to be able to provide the services that Māori whānau need. And we have the tools, we have the frameworks. All we need to have is the resources to allow us to make this happen, and the support of our non-Māori brothers and sisters out there to put pressure in the right places to allow us to do the work that works. And I don't say that just because I've been an observer, but I say that because I've seen it for the last 26 years. We've seen thousands of women, not only two Wahine, but all these workers along the table. We've seen thousands of our whānau, so we know what is happening. We have the connections with our elders. We know what our Tangata and Whare is saying. It's about now trying to find those resources to do that, and so the hope is that that's where we're leading to now, that there are a lot more believers out in our community who can support that book so that we can make it happen.
When you look at the stats and complexities of Māori, I just want to make this distinction just briefly, is that if we have a band in Western practice, say from 1 to 10, and for treatment needs and whānau needs and complexities, on a Western practice, say for example, this was the middle band where everybody sat, and anything above that is complex. What we understand as Māori is we start in the upper band. That's normal for us. That's what we're hoping people, that's where we start. We don't start on the band. The stats will tell you that, the research will tell you that. So whenever we're working with Māori, we don't assume that we're starting from this Western band that sits down around perpetration and harm and so the complexities around that, because we're dealing with not one family, within the whole hapa, as you will find as you get further and the deeper you go, the more prevalent it is. And so we start there. Now we're not saying we can't do it, we're saying we can do it. And that's why we need more Māori practitioners alongside us to meet that complexity need. Because that's normal for us.
Kia ora. Ko tōra, ko tākura, ka ora te iwi. I just want to e tūana hau ki te mihi kia koutou. Ka nui te mihi, ka nui te mihi kia koutou mō koutou mahi, mō koutou mātauranga I tuku iho ki ataratu. Nō reira e mihi ana hau ki ngā tūpuna, ngā hapu, ngā iwi, e mau mai koutou ki te kui. Nō reira ngā tūpuna, ngā mihi aroha ki te koutou, ngā te mea. E tū ana koutou ki te mahi ngā mahi o rātou kua wheturangi tia. Engari e ora tonu o rātou wairua kei roto I a koutou katoa hoki. Nō reira e mihi aroha tēnei ki a koutou. Nā te mea e tū ana koutou ki te whakaputa wēnei kōrero I wainganui I a mātou. Kia mōhi o mātou ngā Māori ki te tū, ki te tautoko I a koutou. Nō reira, ka nui te mihi, ka nui te aroha ki a koutou. E hari ana, e kua ana hau ko tai mai hau I wēnei rā ki te rongo. Engari, e mihi ana hau ki a koutou. Nā te mea, e kitea hau I tō koutou. Korowai, e mau mai koutou ki te whakakōtahi mātou katoa. Kia tūtahi mātou I runga I te pono, te tika, me te aroha. Ko wera ngā taonga I tuku iho kia tāko. Nō reira he taonga koutou I tuku iho. Nō reira e mihi ana hau ki a rātou mā. Ki o mātou atua, ki a rātou katoa, mō o rātou mātauranga, mō o rātou taonga I tuku iho. Ko koutou ngā maunga I naine ki te puta I roto I tēnei motu. Kia mutu wēnei mahi tūkino I te tangata. Nō reira ngā mihi rangatira kia koutou katoa. Tēnā koutou.
Yeah, it's a very practical question. I'm a non-Māori clinician in a high Māori population in the Kite region, and I get a lot of Māori women coming for ACC counselling who will talk about that the kaumātua, prominent kaumātua in an iwi is the abuser. How would you address that? I hear you saying you go to that level, but what if it's with those women?
Yeah, I think I'm going to give you an explanation, not an answer, if that's okay. I'm going to keep it really brief because of time. Firstly, a kaumātua doesn't abuse. You need to be really clear about that, okay? So I don't know how you would address it, but I certainly would know how a Māori would address it. Because it's kanohi, it's not an easy kōrero to have, because we struggle with the term whānau when there's abuse happening in the whānau, so we stop calling them whānau. So it's around, as far as a kaumātua goes, they understand it to be kaumātua. We don't hold the whānau against that because we understand around having the difficulty around that. If there are elders there, then there are other elders that need to address it, but we would get them to address it.
One of the difficult things is that when people who are older, they're not standing in a kaumātua identity when they do that. And I don't know how, as non-Māori, you would be able to address that with them, you know. But certainly, because it is a very sensitive kind of conversation to be having.
I just want to add another element that I think is really important and pick up on something that Tanya said about internalized racism. This is a very important thing to understand and know about, particularly if you are a Tauiwi practitioner and you're working with Māori. You need to understand about internalized racism, and you need to understand about colonisation and how that has impacted on our people and how sometimes things are understood from that place instead of from a place of tūtuna, maturanga, you know, and that's essential to me, and I would encourage you to get the necessary education, supervision, consultation that you need if you're going to be doing that kind of work.
I te pātatātau atu e te maunga tonu i tapuri. E te atua kia ora rā mo te manaki kia mātou, mo te Korowai tiaki kia mātou, e te pōrero o Mahi keno, a tihoa Mauri ora. Kia ora.